to the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday, round about noonish. It's 12:15 today. I know we've got some got some irrigation drama happening here at the 1%er compound that needs. Well, let me just tell you, I don't know how anybody uses the amount of water. They're saying that I don't know what's going on. So I may be interrupted here at some point during the show. We'll do a little, I'll close the camera. We'll put B right back up. I'll be back in 5 minutes. That's not even a promise that it's going to happen. I'm just saying it could happen. So let's be prepared because this is a working studio / guest house / compound that we operate out of here in beautiful sunny Highland Park, Texas. And by the way, can I just say, talk about beautiful sunny. Remember all the complaining that we did around these parts about weather over the past couple of months? Remember me going, can it stop being 110? I don't know, for like maybe an hour. Can it not be 100? It was 110 for like 100 days. And whenever that happens, I always say to myself, I go, why do people stay here? Like there was a time when nobody lived here, when it was just Indians and, stuff like that. And then people moved here. And it was obviously not in August when they moved here, but people moved here and then they stayed. And I've always been like, they didn't have air. Like, I get why we stay now. We have air conditioning. You can totally tough it out. And it's actually quite a wonderful place to live. You have air conditioning. If you don't, it's terrible. Why did they stay? I don't understand why they stayed. Ladies and gentlemen, today is why they stayed. Oh my God. Is this heaven? What is going on with the weather the past 3 or 4 days? 80 degrees, sunny, big, giant, gorgeous, white, billowy Simpson clouds. Boom. That doesn't get any better than that. That's the weekend we just came through. And it is gorgeous today. And I know one thing. The grass around here ain't thirsty. That's for damn sure. They are all up. Do you have a good weekend? I did. Do I have anything else to report about the weekend? Did a lot of work this weekend. Nose to the grindstone on a couple of different projects. Did something really fun last night. Okay, so last night I created some content with Sybil. Remember Sybil, our girl Sybil? Oh my God, do I love Syb. Sybil and I did some content for the dog podcast. Get it? Podcast, PAWD, podcast, that we're monkeying around with here locally. Help some dog charities and all that kind of stuff. And who is more involved in local dog nuttiness than our very own Sybil? So we took that as an opportunity, got together, hung out with Sybil a little bit, talked about stuff. God, I love her. You all love her too. Everybody loves her. Is she she's like the least hated person on the planet? It's certainly the least hated person in the Metroplex. Everybody, although she's got an ex-husband. So maybe there's one person that doesn't like her. I don't know. Anyway, that was fun. I'll let you know how you can hear that when we release that. That's going to be out soon. So we did that. Boy, another project that I do, the practical picks with Kelly. That segment, wow, she took a beating this week. I'm sorry. I don't want to bury the mule here. Is that even a saying? Bury the mule. That's a saying. Guys, just go out there at some point today, say, I don't want to bury the mule here, and just pretend like it's been a saying. I just made it up, but it sounds like, right? Sounds like something that could have been. Kelly's practical picks were terrible this past weekend. She was due. She was due because she had rattled off like 3 weeks in a row where she was just crushing, and then it wasn't great. It wasn't great. We'll see. We got one more game. We'll see how it goes. One more game will make it. She still will have gotten crushed, but not as badly. All right, so that's it. So what do we do here? Thank you for joining us. I see the chat room is filling in. Who do we have in the chat room here? We got my boy Adam. Adam did me dirty on Twitter, but we ain't going to talk about it. Bullied. But that's okay. We're good. We go too far back for that shit to get in the way. Peter's here. Barney's here. Leslie's here. Everybody's here. Here, let me thank our, look here, the executive producers, right? Let's do that bit. Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, our executive producers of today's show. Terry, Byron, Frank, and Joel. Why? Because they got us over. They got us over. Thank you so much. They came in at the tail end. They dropped a little something. They got, look, every month when we fundraise to keep this show going for the next month. Every month when we fundraise, we've made it. I gotta tell you, it's been rough on me, though. I mean, it's like, stomach aches the whole week. Anyway, but you guys always come through, and we've always made it. It was the closest this past month. And, I guess if we had an accountant involved, he'd say, technically we didn't make it, but we did. And so we're going to move forward. So thank you so much to everybody. High tip of the day always gets the executive producer for the next day. So if you feel so compelled, keep the show going. Appreciate you. Love you. All right, let's move on. What do we do on the show here? Every day I try to give you all the headlines, the hot topics, the current events, the stuff that's going on, the stuff you need to know. You just don't feel stupid. It's awful when you feel stupid. And it's even worse when somebody comes up to you and is like, hey, did you hear about? And then you're like, I guess you're going to tell me about it now. And they're idiots. And you get it through a telephone game. It's not all. So I'm going to give it to you. Let me be ground zero idiot for you. I'll give it to you, and then you do with the information what we will. We don't spend any great amount of time on any single subject. We move on. We try to give you everything that people are buzzing about. Everything except politics. We don't do politics because I don't give a shit how you voted. I really don't. I don't care. Well, you're a Trump guy. You're a Biden weirdo. Whatever. I don't care. Don't bring your politics in here. This is where we talk about all the other stuff. This is where, there are certain social situations where you don't talk politics. I'll give you a good example. When mixing with other kids' parents on the sideline of a football game, right? You don't like, hey, how about this game? You see what Trump said? You don't do that. You're nice. You have connections with these people, and your relationship is built on something other than your hatred, your mutual hatred of another political party. We don't do that here. We also don't do religion. We dabble in all of these things, but we don't take sides, is my point. So come on by. Every day, Monday through Friday. High noon, that's what we do here. Should we get started? Yeah, let me get started. Let me do a couple of things here. How's the sound? I have to tell you, we had a sound problem. Oh, is the chat room not merged? I'm so sorry. All right, boom. There you go, guys. All right, I just merged the chat room. I am so sorry. I hate when I do that. There we go. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. Al says they're getting closer to opening the Portillo's in Arlington off Cooper Street. Yay. Oh, that'll do wonders for traffic in that area. That's what they need. They need another thing out there that is going to cause traffic backups, because a baseball stadium, a football stadium, a Six Flags, and a Wet n Wild ain't enough. Let's add the grand opening of Portillo's. Oh, but you're lucky, you Arlington people are lucky. Hiccups are coming. It was a bad combination of a sip of coffee chased with a sip of Coke Zero. I'm a disgusting representation of humanity, I know. Portillo's, there's a new one in Allen. I haven't been to that one yet. There's a new one in Allen right near the Outlet Mall where that shooting happened. I haven't been to that one yet. I should go to that one because that one's actually closer to where my son is, and I can't. I'm not allowed. I don't know if we've got a rule in this house. I'm not allowed to go to Portillo's without my kid. But the only time I get to go is when you're there, and I'm like, okay, all right. What else? Chat room is good now. Okay. We had a problem the other day. How's the sound? Sound is working good? Because, sound has been wiggy. Nothing I can do about it. It seems to be working on my end, and it turns out it's not working. We had a problem, and I need to call one of our... Sounds great. Thank you, Mama. I have to call out one of our chat people. I mean, look, there is a process for if you're not going to be in the chat room. If you're going to be absent, there's a process. You can reach out. There's paperwork. You can go see HR. We had a sound problem on Friday for like the entire show. And April wasn't in the chat room to let me know because April had to go to the Ranger Parade. April did not ask for the day off from the chat room. She just went to the Ranger Parade. And for an entire show, my sound was garbage and nobody told me because that's April's job. I see she's back here now, so that's good. Mike 5551. Here we go. Yeah, this is something that we can address. Why not? Because I did all the work on that. Boom. There you go. Mike asked, did I miss the Who Killed 1053 release? No, you did not, Mike. But we do have an update on that. So, the Observer here in Dallas is tracking it. They're doing like a whole, they did the initial story. And I am writing the piece for them. And originally, like back in August, they said, when do you think it'll be released? I go, well, we can time it with the release of the article. So they were like, okay, well, let's do in October. Let's do a Halloween, maybe in the Halloween issue. And so that's what the target was. But then in early October, they changed it. They said, no, we think we'd rather do this as a Christmas thing. So why not? Well, that's what I worked on all weekend. So that's it. So I would be expecting the 105.3 documentary podcast, Radio Misfits production of. That's a Christmas release, and made some real progress on it. Like, that's one of the reasons I was like, I should call Sybil. That's one of the reasons we reconnected yesterday as well. So thank you, Mike. There you go. That is coming up. Appreciate people waiting on that. Hey, good things come to those who wait. What else do we have here in the chat room? Should we just get the show started? Yeah, we'll just get the show started now. Is Mike new in the chat room? I want to make sure Mike feels comfortable. Cool, Mike. You're welcome, bud. All right. So Christmas. Well, it'll be released like around Christmas. They seem to think that's a good strategic time for, I don't know. I'm cool with it. I'm just happy that there seems to be people interested. maybe at some point there'll be some money involved for me and James and Ed and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that works. All right, let's get started with today's show. It is the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. It is the 6th day of November, year of our Lord 2023. November 6th is the 310th day of the year. There are 55 more of these remaining until the end of the year. Now, how do we do the show? We do the show in a couple of different segments. I call them quarters, just conveniently because there's 4 of them and I'm a football meathead. So first quarter is a segment we call Erstwhile on This Day. We take a look back at the history of the day. I cherry pick some things that I can riff on for a few minutes and we talk about them. Things that have shaped our perception and understanding of what this day has represented throughout history. Then we move into birthdays. We talk about people born on this day. We look at, who they are, what we think of them. Do we like them? Do we not? And we move on. Then we move into the deads. We stand in judgment. We look at people who died on this day and we take their life's resume into account and we decide based on our own understanding of heaven and hell, where'd they go? They go to heaven? They go to hell? We don't know. We stand in judgment. That's the deads. That's quarter 1, erstwhile. Quarter 2, birthdays. Quarter 3, the deads. Then we move into quarter 4. That's the meat of the show. Those are all the topics, the headlines, all of that stuff. So if you're ready, let's begin. All right, erstwhile on this day, quarter 1. Here we go. Erstwhile on this day in 1860, Abraham Lincoln is elected president of these here United States. 16th president, they say. He was only elected with 40% of the popular vote. He defeated, who did he beat? We don't know. It's like, this is like, who ran? Who did Lincoln barely defeat? Like who did we come this close to having president? Well, it would have been President John C. Breckinridge. That's right, President Breckinridge. Remember how old Brecky handled the Civil War? On this day in 1860, erstwhile on this day in the year 1900, President William McKinley is reelected, along with his vice president and running mate, Theodore Roosevelt of New York. Yeah, we know more about the VP. McKinley reelected. Complete snooze of a president. McKinley, what do we know about him? I don't know. Did he do something wrong? Probably. He was probably one of the real scandalous dudes. 1900. Oh, my God, those people just lining their pockets. No different than today. That's why we don't do politics. On this day in 1947, Meet the Press, the longest running television program in history, makes its debut on NBC television. Meet the Press. Never seen an episode. No, won't. Meet the Press, Face the Nation. Nope, never seen episodes of either of those. Why? Here's why. When I was a little kid, those were Sunday morning kryptonite shows. Those, like, Saturday mornings were awesome. They had everything. And then you're like, let's keep it going. And you'd roll into Sunday, and it was just like, Meet the Press. Oh, until football. And there was no cable. We'll just watch something. I couldn't go on my phone. No internet. Just that. I'd rather go sit in the backyard. Just go sit in the backyard and listen to the birds than be 7 years old watching Meet the Press. Anyway, it debuted on this day in 1947. On this day in 1995, the Cleveland Browns, speaking of football, on this day in 95, Art Modell announced that he signed a deal with the city of Baltimore to relocate them. There's Cleveland Browns. This is one of them confusing things, right? Because Baltimore is one of the great legacy cities of the NFL. Baltimore had the Colts. Baltimore had Johnny Unitas. Baltimore. Come on, the 50s. They were like the Yankees of football in the 50s. Or whatever. I don't know. They were good. And they suddenly didn't have a team. And the people of Baltimore were like, hey, how come we ain't got a team? Or actually, how do they speak? Baltimore accents are hysterical. It's all, they don't know how to say O's. They say O's. It's weird. It's weird. And it like makes no sense for the region. Like, why did that just pop up? Well, actually, it's kind of, how far is Baltimore from Pittsburgh? Because the Baltimore and Pittsburgh accent seems similar. Anyway, moving on. Art Modell didn't want to be in Cleveland no more because he had basically worn out his welcome by producing like 40 years of absolute horseshit teams. So he moved to Baltimore, and that's where the Ravens came from. So the Baltimore Ravens are actually the original Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns of Paul Brown and of Jim Brown. See, this is why it gets confusing. Because then a couple of years later, an expansion team, a completely new team made from whole cloth, started up in Cleveland. And they called themselves the Browns. But they're not the Browns. The Ravens are the Browns. I mean, when you think of the Browns, like, you know, again, Paul Brown, Jim Brown, the Brown, those are the Baltimore Ravens now. That's where that bloodline goes. On this day, 1995, Art Modell moved his team. People were pissed. Was he the guy? Wait, Art Modell? No. Wait. Art Modell, yes. Okay, no, Art Modell moved from Cleveland to Baltimore, and he did that, and people were pissed, but it was Irsay. It was Irsay who moved from Baltimore to Indianapolis in the middle of the night. Oh, yeah. What a shitheel. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine if you wake up tomorrow morning and learn that Jerry Jones has moved the Cowboys in the middle of the night to San Antonio? Not even San Antonio, because at least still in state. And you can be like, well, it's just further drive. What if he like moved them to Albuquerque? Like all of a sudden they were the Albuquerque. You'd be pissed. Oh my God. Yikes. On this day in 1995, the Cleveland Browns relocated to Baltimore. On this day in 2012, Tammy Baldwin becomes the first openly gay politician to be elected to the United States Senate. Good for her. Never heard of her. Well, I don't know what she did, but whatever. Okay, moving on. Buona. They say it's their birthday. These are people celebrating birthdays today. Let's run through some of these, shall we? Charles Dow, born on this day in 1850. He partnered with his buddy, I don't know, let's call him Alvin Jones, and they created the Dow Jones. There you go. Born on this day in 1851. Born on this day in 1854, John Philip Sousa, American composer and band leader. John Philip Sousa. Do you have any hits? Born on this day in 1861. How about James Naismith? Inventor of the NBA. James Naismith, Canadian, invented the NBA. Yeah, it's Canadian. Just so we're clear, because we like to, when we don't know for sure, we just assume, and we would probably assume that basketball was invented in America. But now James Naismith is a Canadian. Let's see here. Born here in 1931. How about Mike Nichols? Mike Nichols celebrating a birthday today. I mean, he dead, I think, right? And Mike Nichols dead? I believe he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. Turns out he died a bunch of years ago. Mike Nichols is great. Mike Nichols is one of these guys who, I believe, will be appreciated by the people who appreciate things for years. A lot of people don't appreciate things. Like a lot of people are just, like, there's plenty of people that don't appreciate Shakespeare. There's plenty of people that don't appreciate, Frank Capra movies. There's plenty of people that don't appreciate like a Catherine. And we don't appreciate things. We just take them all for granted and we move on. Mike Nichols, among people who appreciate things, will be appreciated. Mike Nichols. Who was Mike Nichols? Mike Nichols was a director, a writer, big stage director, big Broadway director, but movies. I mean, don't sleep on him in movies, and don't sleep on him as one of the greatest comedy influences in the history of comedy. American comedy owes a great debt to Mike Nichols. Mike Nichols started out as a compass player at the University of Chicago and was integral in the forming of what would become the Second City in Chicago. That's where he met this hot, young, funny chick, because it was even rare back then where chicks were allowed to be funny, but especially a hot one. He met a hot, young, funny chick by the name of Elaine May, and they created a nightclub act called Nichols and May. Nichols and May, Mike Nichols and Elaine May, they were huge. They were like as big as you get around about 1967, 68. And so the movie offers come. And Mike Nichols then went, all right, Elaine, you go do your thing. By the way, Elaine May would go on to be one of the great comedy writers of her generation as well, and considered to be someone on the Mount Rushmore of the past 50 years of Hollywood great comedy writers. And contributors, really, Elaine May. But Mike Nichols, let's talk about Mike Nichols. He's an EGOT. He's one of the rare EGOTs, got the Emmy, the Grammy, the Oscar, the Tony. He's got all of that. But what about his movies? So let's talk about the movies. He didn't make a lot of movies. Didn't make a lot of them. But he did make a few. Sometimes he was moved to make a film, and they're all great. There is not a Mike Nichols dud in the bunch. Let's go through them, okay? Here you go. Let's see. Well, he began by directing a young Robert Redford in Barefoot in the Park, Neil Simon's Broadway hit back in 1963. So that was the first thing. And then they said, hey, you should come do movies. So Warner Brothers said, we want you to do movies. So he only did a few movies again in his life. But let's run through the list of movies Mike Nichols did, because a lot of people don't know who he is. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, 1966. Fucking movie's great. If you've ever been divorced, or if you've ever been in a relationship with somebody you're just done with, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Amazing film. What else did he do? Then after, he followed Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with a little film that nobody saw called The Graduate. Yeah, he then did The Graduate. I mean, does it get more classic than that? Of course, won a whole bunch of Academy Awards and stuff like that. Then he did Catch-22, Carnal Knowledge, The Day of the Dolphin, Silkwood, Working Girl, Postcards from the Edge, The Birdcage, Primary Colors, Closer, and Charlie Wilson's War. He was amazing. Also directed the HBO miniseries that won every award that they could make, Angels in America. Mike Nichols, born on this day in 1931. He's a real one. He's legit. He's also Rachel Nichols. Rachel Nichols, the sports girl. Hi, I'm Rachel Nichols. That's his daughter-in-law. She married Mike Nichols' son. Born on this day in 1931, the great Mike Nichols. Born on this day in 1946, Sally Field. The great Sally Field. Who doesn't love Sally Field? Sally Field's one of these girls you take for granted if you're Gen X. She's just always there. She's a little bit too old. She's maybe cute, but she wasn't Farrah. We were distracted as kids. So we didn't really look at Sally Field for... She was just cute. She looked like she could be a friend of, your cousins or something. She wasn't anything special is my point. So we took her for granted. A couple of years back, I forced my son to watch Smokey and the Bandit, because I forced my son to watch things that I think will make him a better person. I believe some working knowledge of Smokey and the Bandit will. So we rewatched Smokey and the Bandit, and I fell in love with Sally Field. I don't know, maybe I look at women differently at this age, but I'm like, how did I not notice this? And that she is the cutest thing on the planet. Oh my God, is she adorable in Smokey and the Bandit. Sally Field, happy birthday. Born on this day in 1946. Born on this day in 1948. How about Glenn Frey? I love Glenn Frey. Glenn Frey was so cool. Like the Eagles, like a bunch of like Don Henley's kind of like, an artist. And, what do you mean by that? Like he's always looking for some, it's a different mood that he brings. Glenn Frey was like, hey, I'll take a beer. Glenn Frey was like cool. Glenn Frey was... Well, that dynamic between Fry and Henley probably led to a lot of really great stuff, but they're different people. And Glenn Frey seems like a fun dude. Glenn Frey. Like when Glenn Frey was doing all the Miami Vice stuff in the late 80s. Remember when he got kind of cheesy? Like Glenn Frey was having fun and we all loved it. And he was ringing the cash register. And I just imagine like at that period, Don Henley was watching Glenn Frey going, what a dork. Like that. They're just two totally different people. Glenn Frey, born on this day in 1948. He's gone too. He died in 2016. That's too bad. Born on this day in 1955, Maria Shriver. She was married to Arnold Schwarzenegger. She's a Kennedy. All of her kids got that. The freaking Kennedy family. All the kids, your middle name's got to be Kennedy. Like if you're a daughter, if you're a Kennedy girl and you get married, and you have to take like a stupid name that's not a Kennedy name, all of your kids will have Kennedy in the middle. Like Patrick Kennedy Schwarzenegger, there's an example. All of the kids have that as their middle name. And why not? I mean, a little cash, and then you start using your middle name. Like, I don't use my middle name. Who uses their middle name? But if your middle name is Kennedy and you're trying to get a dinner reservation, it might work. Yeah. Are they hyphenating it? Because you can't do that. You can't just hyphenate your mother's maiden name if it's like an important maiden name. I don't know what the rules are on that. I'll have to look at that. Happy birthday, Maria Shriver. She was Maria Kennedy Shriver for a long time. Yeah, she was. Early days in television, she was absolutely Maria Kennedy Shriver. And then she became Maria Shriver. Born on this day in 1970. How about Ethan Hawke? What's that dude up to? Remember, he was gonna be like a really big star, and then he became Ethan Hawke. Which, hey, I do this show every day from a guest house. I would trade with. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke happens to be the star of one of my 5 favorite films of all time, Boyhood, Richard Linklater. All right, and there you go. I got nothing else for you on Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke, born on this day in 1970. Born on this day in 1972, Rebecca Romijn. Remember when she did that thing. She got married to John Stamos, and she was just a model, but John Stamos was Joey from Full House. Joey? No. Uncle Rico? Who was Uncle Jesse? Sorry, I couldn't remember who he was. He was Uncle Jesse. When you've been around as long as me, there's a lot of shows. There's a lot of Uncle Jesse's occupying space in your head, so you have to make room. So Uncle Jesse. And she became Rebecca Romijn Stamos. And she did like an X-Files movie where she was blue and she was hot, and then she vanished. And that's what happens. That's what happens when, really pretty girls. Hollywood is filled with pretty girls, but every year there's a pretty girl lottery, and a few completely unknown pretty girls are made famous. And typically 18 months to 2 years, that's about the shelf life of it. And that's basically what Rebecca Romijn went through. She's not famous anymore. When was the last time you saw her in something? She was big though. She was like for like 18 months. It's like she's a legit celebrity. And then suddenly it's like, whatever happened to Rebecca Romijn Stamos? They do this with women because of aging. And it used to be much earlier. It used to be 30. They used to age women out at 30. Then they moved to 40. Now it's like 50, because maybe even more now, because I think Sandra Bullock's still getting work. Although only on the phone. Like the last movie I saw with Sandra Bullock, it was just her voice. So there it starts. Now it's starting. She's got crow's feet. She can't be on TV. Movies. Rebecca Romijn, born on this day in 1972, born on this day in 1976. How about a great American hero, Mr. Pat Tillman? Take off that hat. Salute you, Mr. Tillman. And how about the direct opposite, born on this day in 1979? This is the 180 from Pat Tillman, Lamar Odom. Yeah, Lamar Odom, born on this day in 1979. Oh man, you guys know Dick Hunter found Lamar Odom. Do you guys know this story? Do it's a terrible story, but he's fine now, and he's I don't know what he's doing. Is he fine? I don't know. Whatever. He's out. He's alive. He does stuff. So, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, was it? Maybe more, maybe longer. Lamar Odom went to like a illegal prostitution house in Nevada, and partied. He took up residence there. I guess him and Chloe were having some difficulties or something. Took up residence there, and he partied himself to death. Basically, partied himself to death. He OD'd, was in a coma, and all that kind of stuff. But he was discovered in the bedroom that he was renting at the Bunny Ranch. I think it was the Bunny Ranch. It was Dennis Hoff's place, whatever that is. He was discovered in the room. Mr. Odom. He was discovered by Richard Hunter. Big Dick Hunter is the guy who he actually, I think he went through the door. I think he kicked the door open, and it was funny because, you hear, I'm a news junkie. So the next day it's national news. Lamar Odom found dead in Nevada brothel. Now, the first thing that made me go, was it was Dennis Hoff's brothel. And I knew Dennis. I didn't like Dennis, but I knew Dennis. Dick Hunter loved Dennis. Richard loved, Kelly and I were just like, this guy's so gross. Anyway, he was so gross. He was just such a terrible human being. Just a salesman, a total salesman, but man, do not go into business with him. Anyway, He's dead now, so. So Richard Hunter was working for him. Richard liked him. Richard had a sort of entourage of very interesting and socially polarizing people. Whether it was Joe Francis from Girls Gone Wild, O.J. Simpson, Dennis Hoff, Ron Jeremy, right? This was his like running crew. And it was funny because he wasn't like them at all, but he was just fascinated by these curious creatures. And as a media personality, he enjoyed documenting them. So anyway, I hear the story about Lamar Odom dying, and I start seeing news coverage, and then I start seeing Dick Hunter on like Entertainment Tonight and E and all of these things, and I'm like, oh, so I call him. I'm like, dude, what the hell? And he gave me the whole story. I'm gonna have the interview that I did with Sybil recently. Yesterday, as a matter of fact. I'm gonna do another one with Dick. The next one I'm gonna invite Dick on for the dog show because I want him to tell the Michael Vick story. But maybe I'll also get him to tell the Lamar Odom story, which I don't know. We're trying to create content for a podcast. That's pretty good. All right. Happy birthday, Lamar Odom, 1979. Born on this day, you'll live to see another year. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Is Dick Hunter around to save you and revive you and get you to a hospital in the nick of time? Born on this day in 1988, Emma Stone. Oh, my God. Oh, is she adorable? Isn't Emma Stone just like every TV interview you see her, every time you see her on a red carpet, she's just such a wonderful, she's lying. She is an actress. Now, I love Emma Stone. I love this character that she has created to go on Jimmy Fallon and be like America's favorite girl next door. I love that character that she has created. See, but I know for a fact that she's an actress. That's what I know. And I know that means she is absolutely hollow inside. She is a white piece of paper just waiting to pretend to be whatever it is she needs to be in the moment to ring that gas register. Actresses are the worst, even when they're adorable like Emma Stone. Born on this day in 1990, Bowen Yang. Bowen Yang on Saturday Night Live. Oh God! Why? I feel they're doing with Bowen Yang what they did with Leslie Jones. They force-fed us, Leslie. I consider myself to be the nation's foremost authority on Saturday Night Live. I don't know if you know this or not about me, but I have seen every episode of Saturday Night Live. I've seen every sketch. I've seen every digital short. I've seen every episode of Saturday Night Live. It's a great party trick of mine. No, it's not. I wouldn't even know how to use that as a party trick. Anyway, I have seen every episode of Saturday Night Live. So when I say that Bowen Yang is being forced down our throat the way Leslie Jones was, I know where I speak. They've done this from time to time over the years. It seems to be more recently in the last 20 years. Lorne Michaels is now like sort of, instead of just casting the way he always did, he's casting according to social demands and, all of this. Okay, that's fine. We live in a more diverse world. Saturday Night Live should reflect that. I have no problem. But do you remember there was a big hubbub a couple of years back? And it was Saturday Night Live doesn't have any black women. And so he immediately went out and he got 2 black women to be on Saturday Night Live. And then for like the next 3 years, Leslie Jones was like, we're going to put Leslie Jones out front again. And she did the exact same thing every time. Leslie Jones is a one-trick pony. Leslie Jones is funny as that one trick. And when Leslie Jones would come out on the news and do her rants, I'm like, that's great. That's funny. That's her. But she can't do anything else. And she doesn't do anything else. She has no nuance in her comedic acting. Now, remember, they said about Saturday Night Live that you got to hire a black girl. So they hired 2. And they put Leslie Jones, they shoved her down our throats. And they just faded Ego Wodum into the background. They made this Ego Wodum is 1,000 times more talented than Leslie Jones. And I just don't know why they force-fed us Leslie Jones. And Ego Wodum is now like in her 7th year. She's basically the glue of that cast. She is amazing. She's in every sketch. She's hysterical. She's fantastic. And I just always hated the way they just went, Leslie, you're the one. And it was a bad pick. Leslie Jones is nowhere near as talented as Ego Wodum. Now they're doing the same thing with Bowen Yang. And I think it's because, they'd never had an Asian and he's gay. He checks 2 boxes. And again, that's fine. Diversity is great. I think it should reflect the way the audience is. And if that's what the audience is, then that's what the show should be. So I'm not complaining about that. What I'm complaining about is Bowen Yang is a one-trick pony. And they're putting him in every single sketch. And he's got the same speed, and he's got the same tone, and he's got the same attitude in every single sketch. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't get better. Leslie Jones didn't. Leslie Jones, they were finally like, yeah, we can't really do this big, angry, screaming, dumb lady anymore. And that's what her character was. Big, angry, screaming, dumb lady. That was Leslie Jones's bit, and it was funny. But they're like, can't do that anymore. So then they start forcing Bowen Yang. Now, it doesn't mean that Bowen Yang can't get better. He can. He absolutely can. What is this, his 3rd year now? And he's still being, I still have not seen any nuance. I haven't seen any speed change in his acting and his delivery. I'm going to give you an example. Bowen Yang, for the past 3 years that he's been on Saturday Night Live, is like Chris Farley in his first year. Chris Farley in his first year sucked. Chris Farley in his first year was a one-trick pony that I couldn't stand, because Chris Farley in his very first year was just fatty fall down. And that's what he says. He goes, my entire first year on Saturday Night Live was fatty fall down. Chris Farley made his mark by being, look at the fat guy. That's hysterical. And that's all he was. It wasn't until Chris Farley started to get some power because of fatty fall down that he was then able to dictate the roles that he played on the show. And that's when you started to see the range of Chris Farley. You started to see vulnerability, kindness, sweetness. He could play almost anything. If Chris Farley had lived and you had wanted to make Chris Farley into a leading man that hot girls would be believable, he could, because John Candy could. So of course, but his first year was terrible. You know where it was? It was, and this was in a great book that I read about Chris. Actually, it wasn't about Chris. It was about Saturday Night Live, but it was Tim Meadows who was talking about when it changed for Chris Farley and when everybody on Saturday Night Live went, oh, wait a second, we've got something. This isn't just a cheap John Belushi imitation recycled 15 years later. We've actually got something. And it was the very first episode of the Chris Farley Show. Remember that sketch where it was Chris Farley and he was like interviewing a celebrity and he was playing himself and the celebrity was playing themselves and he was just very nervous. That's it. That's where, according to the people at Saturday Night Live, they went, oh my God, America's going to fall in love with this kid. Haven't seen that from Bowen Yang yet. I haven't seen that moment. But happy birthday, Bowen Yang, born on this day in 1990. You're getting every opportunity. They are putting you up to bat. They're giving you a bat. You are out there swinging. All right, that's going to do it for the birthdays. Buona, buona, buona. They said it's their birthday. Buona, buona, buona. Can't really doubt them. I mean, they've got the paperwork. All right, now let's move into the deads. These are all the people that have died on this day, at least the ones that I find of note. Can't talk about all the people who've died on this day because that's a lot of people in history. So I cherry-picked a couple, and here's what we do. We talk about them. We look their life's resume, and then we decide if they're going to heaven or hell. So let's get started on today's deaths. First time in history, there are no deaths. There are no deaths. I'm not kidding you. I'm absolutely not kidding you. I went through starting back in like the 600s, and I'm going through all of these names. Please give me a King Tut or something. Give me some. Nothing. There's nobody of note that died on this day. Nobody that I know. Nobody. That's the criteria for the segment. I have to be looking through the names, and when I stop on a name of someone who died, if I go, oh, you know what? I know something about that. I mention them. There is absolutely nothing here on today. So we're going to, yeah, I know, Peter. There is absolutely nothing here. All right. Sorry. So no deads. Well, look, I'll give you an example. Okay. Here, I'll give you an example. I'll show you. I'll just give you what my choice is and why we decided not to do this segment today. All right. So November 6th, history, people who passed. Hold on. Let me pull this up. We'll go to deaths. All right, here we go. All right, so in 1003, Pope John the 18th died. All right, let's just go to 19. No, actually, let's go 1970. Let's just go my lifetime. All right, 1985. Sanjeev Kumar died on this day. Jean Tierney. Okay, Jean Tierney is an actress, and I know the name, but I don't know what that person looks like. I don't know anything about Jean Tierney. Jean Tierney died in 1991. I can't, with good conscience, send them to heaven or hell. I don't know. Just Betzer, 2003, Danish production manager. Johnny Warren, Australian football player. I have no idea. Federico Lopez, Mexican Puerto Rican basketball player, died in 2006. Dude, 2002. I'm just going to run through. Here are my choices from 2014 on. Tommy McPherson, Scottish soldier. Rick Rosas, American bass player. What band's he in? Maybe he's in a band. Maybe he's in a band I can mention. Rick Rosas. Neil Young, Crazy Horse. Okay. Dude, nothing. We got nothing. Okay, I'm sorry. There's just King Von. King Von died in 2020. He's an American rapper. I don't know who Ken Spears, American writer. I don't know who that is. Bernard Landry died in 2018. Canadian lawyer. Richard Gordon Jr., American naval officer, died in 2017. Bobby Campbell, English soccer player. I have no idea these people. So you can understand why we decided not to do that segment today. And look, in explaining how we decided not to do that segment, it became a segment. That's what we do. That's called fill in time. That's fine. That's called make and do. All right, folks, we're going to move on to all of the things that are trending today, the big hot topics and all that good stuff that's going on. So let's move through it. First and foremost, Israel. There's a war going on in Israel. Terrible things are happening. People are dying. Again, not the place you should be if that's stuff you want to learn about. Look, I watch the news just like you. I mean, look, this is, I looked at this like every show for the foreseeable future is going to start with Israel first. And so, okay, so what are my thoughts on this situation today? Same as they were on Friday. Go back and listen. Pugscast.com. You can find all the old shows. Trump's in court in New York. He's taking the stand. Fireworks, I'm sure, are going to be had. So, again, if you want coverage of Trump's day in court, go elsewhere. Plenty of places will give it to you. I just don't want to get into it. Here's something that I think is really interesting, though. This is an interesting issue that's going in front of the Supreme Court today. Here, let me read this to you. I'm just going to read it to you because I want you to have the context, and then we'll discuss what this all means, okay? Zaki Rahimi pulled a gun on his ex-girlfriend in a parking lot and shot at a witness who saw them arguing. This prompted a Texas family court to issue a protective order in 2020, temporarily forbidding him from possessing firearms. Okay, so after Zaki Rahimi pulled his gun in a parking lot and started abusing his girlfriend, he then noticed that a witness had seen him doing this. So he drew the gun on the witness. Make sure. Pulled the gun. Okay, I almost said, oh, no, he shot at him. Okay, so he did discharge his weapon. So he was hassling his girlfriend in the parking lot, pulled out a gun. Someone saw him do it. And then the guy who was the witness got the gun turned on him and a shot was fired. So this dude is like in a parking lot, at Chili's or wherever. And you see this and you're like, hey, stop that with that girl. And he swings the gun around on you, squeezes one off, you escape. Okay, so he gets in trouble for this. And the court in Texas took his gun away from him. Anybody have a problem so far? Anybody? Based on the information that I just gave you, is he a responsible gun owner? Does he represent you? I don't know. A lot of my friends are very responsible gun owners. I have two friends who are major gun collectors, and they are serious about their shit. Everything's got locks. Everything got an entire room that's just like under lock and key with just a fantastic arsenal. It's not my thing, but I do have another friend who it's their thing, and we went over there, and he was basically a walking erection. So there are responsible guns. Is this? Right? So this guy, the court said, hey, we're issuing a protective order against the girl, And since you like swung around and squeezed a couple off in one off in a parking lot, we're going to take your guns. If you have a problem with that, I would really, I was going to say, I'd really like to talk to you about it. But honestly, if you got a problem with that, I don't want to talk to you about it. Because I just don't know where we begin. We can't start that far back. We can't. We have to start from a place of common sense. This dude is winging his pistol around in an Applebee's parking lot, beating up his girlfriend and then shooting at witnesses. Okay, so that's the situation. Zaki Rahimi pulled a gun on his ex-girlfriend in a parking lot and shot at a witness who saw them arguing, prompting a Texas court to issue a protective order in 2020, temporarily forbidding him from possessing firearms. Rahimi, of course, ignored the order. Authorities say, going on to threaten another woman with the gun, fire an AR-15 into the house of one of his narcotics customers, so he's a drug dealer, and shoot into the air at a Whataburger drive-thru after his friend's credit card was declined. So he did all of these things after the court said you can't have guns. That led to his conviction under a 1994 federal law that prohibited people under domestic violence orders. Federal law, remember, make sure you remember that. This is 1994 federal law that said that people who are convicted of domestic violence, they can't possess guns, and set up the latest chapter in the modern history of the Second Amendment. Okay, so earlier this year, a federal appeals court in New Orleans struck down the 94 federal law. All right, so a court in New Orleans says that the 94 law that says that if you're convicted of like spousal abuse and have a temporary restraining order against you, you can't have guns. Again, that seems like a really reasonable law. That seems like, yes. I mean, but fuck, man, this conversation is so twisted. We can't even come to common ground on mentally insane people who have been, well, they should the Second Amendment. Stop it. Shut up. You're so disingenuous. This is common sense. Nobody wants to take your guns away from you. But if you act like an asshole, yeah, we're taking assholes. How about that? Let's take the assholes' guns. What's an asshole? Well, let's start with anybody who's been convicted of domestic abuse and has had a restraining order taken out. How about we start there? Can we start there? No, Second Amendment. Somebody remove that person from the conversation. We can't have those people in here. We have to talk about reasonable things. This person is obviously an asshole. Okay? He did this, remember? Beating up girlfriend, sees the witness, shoots at the witness. Court gets involved. Take his guns. He says, nah. He goes on. He's now shooting at, he's a drug dealer, so he's shooting at a house. He gets caught for that. He pulls out a gun at a Whataburger because his friend's debit card gets declined. He fires that off. And now this dude is fighting for your gun rights. This dude is taking this to the Supreme Court to say that he should be allowed to have guns now that he has served his time. Earlier this year, a federal appeals court in New Orleans struck down the 94 federal law for violating the constitutional right to keep and bear arms, even if you're fucking crazy. And even if you're a guy who like has fired at a Whataburger because your friend's debit card you are still protected. It should be allowed to have that. Hey, you can't do that. Take your gun outside, mister. No, man, come on. We can have guns, but we have to at least be serious about it. We have to recognize that they are, just like we are with cars. I would love to have guns regulated to the degree that we regulate cars, but no, Second Amendment. Fuck. I'm a Second Amendment guy. I don't want to see any changes made there. I think I know enough people, and I live in Texas, for crying out loud. I understand that gun culture is more than the way it's painted by the left. I understand that. I didn't always understand that, but I do now. You know, you age, you change. I'm not a gun guy. I don't love guns. I think it's kind of weird. But I've always thought it was weird, you know, people that like things to blow up. I'm like, man, you are closer to being a caveman than I am. That's all I chalk that up to. You just like, let's blow a big hole out in the backyard and sit around and drink beer. Fuck, really? I'd rather fall in a wiki hole. I'd rather go on YouTube and just like, you know, watch stuff. I never understood like, you know, the thrill of like, you know, blowing shit up and all that. I like breaking stuff. Like I like a sledgehammer and like some drywall. I like to, you know, do that kind of thing. But no, never really got off on like bombs and guns and explosions. I don't know, whatever. Second Amendment. So that's what the Supreme Court's going to have to listen to. The Supreme Court's going to have to take up this case, this New Orleans case. They're going to have to look at this court in New Orleans that said that the 1994 law that says that if you're convicted of domestic abuse and have restraining orders out against you, you can't own a firearm. Louisiana says, nah, you can still have a firearm because of the Second Amendment. And now the Supreme Court's got to go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Have no idea how this is going to play out, but we'll let you know. Hollywood strike is still happening. The Hollywood strike is in its 115th day now. And it's just, folks, it's gotten to the point. I told you it was going to get at like 60 days ago when the writers went back to work. The actors nobody has written a third act for this, for the actors. The actors went on strike. It was like Act 1. Let's recognize and show allegiance to the writers and just show everyone how we're not just big, shallow stars. We can actually take up for the working mass. That was Act 1. And then Act 2 was, we are marching. Look at us. Hey, you can't dress as characters for Halloween. It was all of that bullshit. That was Act 2. But now it's Act 3. They don't know how to get out of this thing because the actors are like, can we come back to work? And they're like, no, it's so messed up. It's messed up. Hollywood. So here's basically what's happening. The studios have given their last best offer. They're saying, you know what? We're so dumb here. We're so done here. We're about ready. See, the actors never had leverage. Never. So stupid. You are lucky. You got chosen. Everybody wants to be an actor. Everybody wants to be famous. You got chosen. I've got special talent. No, man, there's a kid doing dinner theater in Dayton, Ohio who will blow your fucking mind. He just hasn't been discovered yet. So don't give me this, you've got special talent. Look, they're just going to start doing movies with non-union actors. And guess what? Oh, do you think when they hold the audition for, we're recasting, what's the number one show in America? What is I don't know, like NCIS? Okay, something like that. We're recasting NCIS. We're just wiping it clean. Who wants to play these? They will have a cattle call of actors that just want to be famous who are like, fuck the union. They got nothing. The actors have nothing. And by the way, AI is coming and they're just going to start creating these. Have you seen some of these like these digital movies where people are like, completely AI, looks exactly like actors. I'm never going to meet the real Scarlett Johansson. What do I care if this character isn't real? They've got nothing. The actors got nothing. They're idiots. And they're 100% replaceable. And thank God the studio executive, and by the way, you know me, I'm never one to take up for the man. But in this situation, the studio executives have got to be laughing. They're like, how long do we allow this to go on before we just recast CSI? How long do we let this go on before I can't even think of like any other shows, but whatever. All right, there you go. Hollywood strike. It's so stupid and it's still going on and the actors don't know how to get out of it. And the Hollywood studio system has given their last best offer. And they're saying, we're going to shut this down till the end of the year. If this is it, you either come back now or you know what? Start holding open auditions. For whatever. Hey, I'll host the Tonight Show. Yeah, I can do that. There are people who will be interesting. Jimmy Fallon actually, aren't they still doing shows, right? Because I guess, is Jimmy Fallon not in the actors union? I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. Here's a crazy, weird story. This story was all over the internets over the weekend. Did you hear about this mayor in Alabama who killed himself? This Alabama mayor suicide? Okay, so Alabama mayor dies of apparent suicide days after website publishes pictures of him allegedly in women's clothes. Now, I don't know anything about this mayor. I don't know what policies he advocated for. I don't even know what political party he's in. But here's what I know. He's a mayor in an Arkansas town and he's a pastor at an evangelical church. So he's the mayor and a pastor. And there is a local, regional, maybe, publication that is online only. And, it's one of these, it's a right wing, it's all very like, it's a very far right wing public. The people read these things. They're out there. You know what they are. So it's very right wing. and they discovered that this pastor and this mayor of this town here in Alabama was cross-dressing as like a drag queen and like had this whole other secret life. So they published it. I don't know for what political reason other than to just humiliate somebody. They published to, basically, look at him, he's weird, right? Let's point at the weird guy. Hey, who's got some rocks? Let's throw some rocks at him. And again, I made a point to say I don't know what his political affiliation is or what kind of preaching that he does at his church. I just know the assumptions that I make when I hear Alabama mayor and preacher. Turns out to be a trans whatever. So they published this story, and dude kills himself. The mayor and the preacher killed himself. Couldn't live with being outed to such a degree. Here, I'll read you the story. I just gave you my little thing, but here's how it's being reported. A small town Alabama mayor died by apparent suicide just days after a conservative news site published pictures of him allegedly wearing women's clothes and makeup. Smith's Station is the city. Smith's Station mayor, F.L. Bubba Copeland, who was also a pastor at First Baptist Church of Phoenix City, fatally shot himself and was pronounced dead at 5:01 Central Time on Friday. An autopsy was scheduled for Monday. Here's a quote now. "Thank you all for your prayers and expressions of sympathy and support," First Baptist Church said in a statement Saturday. "First and foremost, we ask that you keep Pastor Bubba Copeland's family in your prayers today and in the days ahead. Copeland's death came 2 days after the 1819 News," that's the name of the website or the news source. "Copeland's death came 2 days after the 1819 News published a story with photos of the mayor donning women's clothes and makeup." Here, let me show you something. Let's look at this guy because, pretty good judge of character. And had I met this guy, had I found myself in Smith's Station, Alabama, sitting down with the mayor, I would have had some observations. I would have had some. Let me show you. I'm going to show you him. Again, this would be, your first impression of the mayor of Smith's Station, Arkansas. Just saying, he pays a little bit too much attention to his eyebrows. I would know that. I would notice that first. I would be like, this is interesting that a small town mayor in Arkansas would pay such close attention to his, hold on, where's the story? Come on, give me the damn story. Continue to read. I'll show you the picture of him. Okay, here he is. All right, so here's the guy. He just looks a little too metrosexual for Alabama, is what I'm saying. Here he is. This is the poor soul who was outed. He is the mayor. He is a pastor. He is also a cross-dresser. He has beautiful skin. I don't know, a lot of other men in Smith Station, Alabama, has as beautiful skin as he does. Look at his eyebrows. His eyebrows are like perfectly tweaked. I'm just saying, if I sat down with him, I'd be like, okay, you got some stuff going on. Let's see here. There's no pictures of him in makeup. There is pictures of him in makeup. I've seen those. What a terrible thing, huh? I mean, he's probably a weird dude. And again, I don't know. I'm assuming that his preaching, again, when you make assumptions, I don't know. I don't know that he was a alternative lifestyle friendly preacher. I don't know. I don't know how that plays in Smith Station at First Baptist. I don't know. He's the mayor of the town. I don't know how. He seems like he lived a very outrageous life, and it was a secret. And I guess they wouldn't have voted for him if they knew he looked like Divine, and he did. If you're familiar with Divine, that's what he looked like. That because I saw pictures of him in his little outfit. His little outfit. I shouldn't. He's dead. I saw him in his whatever it is, his woman outfit. He looked like Divine. He looked like, because he's a big heavy set guy, and he's whatever. Terrible news though. I mean, I take issue with this site, the 1819 News. Why did you do this story? What did this story? This was just gossip. You're just a muckraker, and that's fine. You can do that, and you're appeasing the prurient needs of like a really low hanging fruit base. But that's fine if that's who you want. Whatever. I know about demographics. You're targeting all of them. You don't want all the fruit. You're just going to go for the low hanging fruit. And that's what you went. You got all the low-hanging fruit with that. I just don't understand. It's not news. Remember, I always say that's not news. Here's where it's news. It's news if it seems to be hypocritical because he's, enacting policies that are, the opposite of this. Then it becomes news. But even then, that's not real news. That's like peripheral news. There is a place for gossip in news, not everywhere and not in the screaming headlines, which is where we see it most often these days. But this is not news. This is just, let's hammer somebody who engages in things that we don't like. And now he's dead, right? This is like, what's that situation? Remember a couple of months ago where the police department raided the publisher's house, the newspaper, because the newspaper was investigating the chief of police who was having an affair with somebody who was under investigation. It was a whole messed up thing. But in order to stop the stories, remember the police department went and raided the publisher's house, and the publisher's mother was there and she died. She had a heart attack and a stroke. It's another one of these unnecessary things. All right, there you go. Alabama mayor and reverend living that double life. Kills himself. Let's see. What is this? What's the next one? Okay. This sucks. I'm going to go through this just because I was like, oh, this looks like an interesting article that's circulating today that maybe we can talk about on the High Noon Show. And then I read it and it was just so stupid. Okay. So here's the headline, right? So these are, follow these 8 healthy habits and you can slow down your aging by up to 6 years. And first of all, I don't know what that means even. What does that mean, slow down my, does that mean I'll live 6 years longer? Does it mean I'll look 6 years younger? I don't know. What does that even mean? Stupid clickbait bullshit. But it comes to me from this site where I get all of these polls and all of these research. It's whenever study groups and all that kind of stuff put out and publish articles and new findings, they go to this site and it's really interesting stuff. And I thought this was legit. And then I get to it and I'm like, these are stupid. These are all things we know. Okay, are you ready? Here are the 8 things that they say we should do in order to live 6. I don't know. 1, eat better. Oh, really? You don't say. Eat better. We need to eat better. Okay. How about be more active? Oh, really? More exercise? Is that okay? So eat better and more exercise. Oh, how fantastic. Quit tobacco. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? What does that got to do with anything? Okay, maybe cardio. But what about just dipping? Don't start with me. Quit tobacco. Now you're just sneaking in your pet projects here. Number 4, get healthy sleep. Oh, fuck you. What is healthy sleep? What sleep is sleep? I close my eyes, I sleep. Sometimes it's fitful. Oh, is that what you mean? Okay. How do I control that? How do I control healthy sleep? I get real healthy sleep. I do. I get really good sleep. Thank God. Sleep is so important to me. It really is. It's really important. And melatonin, since I have switched over about a year ago, I used to take Tylenol PM because I just needed something to stop my racing mind. When I switched over from Tylenol PM, thanks to my friend Ed, Radio Misfits, he got me off that toxic acetaminophen. Ugh. So once I stopped doing that and started taking melatonin, I sleep so much better. I sleep so great. I enjoy it. I eat 2 little gummies, about a half hour before I'm ready to go turn in. Eat 2 gummies. They're delicious. These gummies, these melatonin gummies, they're delicious. So like a nice little treat there on my bedside. Better than just swallowing the pills. Ugh. No, thank you. All right, so get healthy sleep, they say. Eat better, be more active, quit tobacco, get healthy sleep, manage your weight, don't be fat. Yeah, really? Okay, doesn't that kind of fall under eat better and be more active? Now you're just repeating yourself. Because what, you didn't think that here are the 3 things you can do no, you wanted to do 8, so now you're just repeating yourself. Let's see here. Control your cholesterol. Don't have high cholesterol. That's if you want to live health, don't have high cholesterol. Again, you're repeating yourself here, you morons. Because controlling cholesterol falls under eating better. Just eat better. There you go. Eat better, be more active, get better sleep. Boom, there you go, folks. That's all you need to know. Eat better, be more active, get more sleep. And then the last two, manage your blood sugar, manage your blood pressure. Well, I'm thinking if I do those three things with some sort of consistency, that'll take care of itself. Thank you. Good night, everybody. Again, the 8 steps that if you want to be healthier and live longer. And I don't even know what this is. How did they word this? Again, what a weird headline. Following these 8 healthy habits slows down aging by up to 6 years. Again, what do you mean slows down aging? Does it mean physical appearance or actually time spent on planet? I don't know. Ugh. We have this thing going on here at the house. Do you guys ever overthink stuff? Like, do you ever like I have a problem with making things super complicated in my head. And so that when I try to learn how to do them in my head, I've already laid the base that this is going to be super complicated. And then when it eventually reveals itself to be not complicated at all, I realize that I've spent like 3 times longer doing this when I could have just, if I was a dumb person, do you ever feel too smart for the world? Like instructions, you're like, okay, you didn't have to tell me to do that. That was a given. I figured that was next. I had that today with, we've got some irrigation stuff going on here. And I was looking at this giant lawn sprinkler timing system and I'm going, okay, and I'm really overthinking it. Like, I'm like, okay, so this has got to be that. And then I realized, I'm like, oh my God, this thing was put in 1950. Those people were idiots. It's probably just a button. And it was just a button, just a little thing. And I'm like, I'm with knobs. And I'm like, what are we doing? I think I might have had that same experience with that headline there. That headline seemed needlessly complicated, and I probably should have not thought about it so hard. I don't know what this one is. Okay, so there's that. Hold on. Moving on. What is this? No, that's the same story. Oh, okay. How about this? How about a little story on books? All right, look at this. I pulled this because it was interesting to me. Just, we're all idiots. We are idiots. We don't want to learn. We don't want to know. What we want to do is we want to salivate. That's what we want. The number 1 selling book in America is Brittany's book, Brittany. Okay. It sold 417,947 copies. 417,000 copies. That's the number 1 book in America, Brittany. The number 2 book in America is Mitt Romney's. Now, Brittany did 417,000 copies. Mitt Romney's is number 2. We're not reading. And what we are reading is just stupid stuff. 17,000. Number 2. Number 1 is 417,000. Number 2, 17,000. The difference between the number 1 best-selling book in America and the number 2 best-selling book in America is 500,000 books. Nobody. Rachel Maddow comes in 3rd. She's also sold 17,000 copies, but just a few less than Mitt Romney. Schwarzenegger's book comes in at 11. Isaacson's Musk, which was supposed to be like this really crazy, it's 5th at 9,000 copies. I mean, everybody's buying. Everybody, people who do. I mean, I'll admit, I want to read Brittany's book. I do. I said it last week, right? I'm like, I want to read that book. I also now want to read Matthew Perry's book. You know what I don't want to read? Mitt Romney's book. I have no interest in that. Does that make me quintessentially American in 2023? Maybe it does. Moving on. Here's something that's quintessentially American here in 2023. How about Taylor and Travis? Do we have a name for them yet? Are we calling them Tavis? That they should be Tavis, right? I don't know. Is that what the kids are calling them? That seems like the natural. I've not heard that. Not heard any. What do they call that? What do they call that when 2 words get moved together? When 2 names become one? Like Benefer or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Whatever it's called. It's a fancy French word. It's a French language word. Taylor and Travis. So here, Tavis, as I like to call him. Here, look at this. Look at this. We got a picture. Oh, the internets are going crazy because McCall Hardiman, who is a teammate of Travis Kelce, and his girlfriend took a picture after the game. And that's right. She's still going to games. She's still like hanging out, going to games. So there's something going on. Because that's the real question, right? We all want to know, like, is this a real relationship or is this just, a publicity thing? Is it? But it's got to be a real relationship. It's got to be a real relationship because one, a publicity thing. This would be a publicity thing for Travis, not for her. She doesn't need it. She's a monster right now without this. This is for him, right? This is making him a much bigger star. He's being elevated to her level. So, but we haven't like seen them. We haven't seen any. We ain't seen them making out. You know what I mean? We ain't seen any of that. So here we go. We got something here. Apparently they did their first. And this is Nicole Hardiman's girlfriend took this picture after the game. Okay, there they are. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. By the way, let me just. What's your problem? What is this? It's a programming. Nobody fucking cares about that. What is this thing? Oh man, that makes me so mad. Really? That makes you mad. You're mentally ill, or at the very least, have a very loose grip on your emotional barometer. You have really? This makes you mad that a football player, boy, don't anybody tell him about Joe DiMaggio in Maryland. I mean, this is nothing new. Why would this make everybody's like, I'm really angry at the whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing? Oh, shut up. It's expanding the NFL, a bunch of little girls. But as soon as they break up, do you think these little girls are going to be watching Kansas City Chiefs games? No, they don't care. Anyway, look at them. They're a fabulous couple. They are a fabulous couple. I don't know how you can have a problem with it. Unless you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan and you know that inevitably she's going to break his heart and he's going to go into a slump and it's going to be bad for your team. That's coming. What's the matter with Travis Kelce? I don't know. They haven't been together in weeks, so maybe that's weighing heavily on his heart. Is that why he dropped it in the end zone? So here's the picture. Oh my God, look at this public display of affection. That's Nicole Hardiman and his girlfriend. That's her Instagram account. They were backstage there. And this is, they say, the first known picture of some sort of affection being shown between Miss Taylor Swift and Mr. Travis Kelce. Now, I would say this is proof of nothing. This is not that I could probably get that kiss from Taylor Swift. And what do I mean by that? How are you going to get that? What I mean is that's a friendly kiss. That's a non-intimate kiss. That's a kiss that like if I was cast in a Snickers commercial or like what are these commercials that Taylor Swift does? You see her in these commercials like Capital One or something, where she's doing these. Like if I was cast in one of those commercials and maybe part of it meant that she had to kiss me on the cheek, she would do that because that's not intimate. It's not like she's my boy. That's what we're seeing right here. This is not an intimate display of this is obviously my boyfriend. That could be, it's a kiss on the cheek. So I don't know. It proves nothing. All right, let's stop it. Here's what are they having sex? That's what we want to know. Is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce having sex? How could they not? I mean, I am a straight man. First of all, I think we all know how I feel about Taylor. She's just a fantastic woman. I see it. I understand. I understand why there are some people who are nuts for her. She's a fantastic woman. She's talented. She's beautiful. She's got style. She seems to be funny. She seems to have incredible self-awareness. All of these things, right? And she's not an actress. So, she's a writer, which makes her authentic. See, actresses are blank slates. Remember white pieces of paper that people tell how to be and then they become that thing? That's not what Taylor Swift is a writer. Taylor Swift is deep in her feels. She's real. She's authentic. And him, but I'm a straight man, and I can look at Travis Kelce and go, yeah, okay, I understand the whole gay thing. I get it. I understand why gay's a thing. I can see it. Not my thing, but I can totally see it when I look at Travis Kelce. So that's what we're all wondering about. We just want to know if they're having sex. And I can tell you that they totally are. They probably had sex before we even knew they were a thing. Them, are they or aren't they a thing? Probably came after they hooked up. They're two incredibly good-looking people. Incredibly good-looking people just have unaccounted for sex all the time. I'm telling you, it happens all the time. Go to a wedding. Go to a wedding. Your good-looking friend, the one who gets laid all the time, will probably disappear at some point. These things, attractive people, random attractive people, it's the whole one-night stand. One-night stand doesn't happen for uglies like us. No, one-night stands happen for attractive people, and they happen a lot. Even in AIDS, they gave us AIDS. See, attractive people just randomly hooking up. That's what gave us AIDS. Don't quote me on that. I'm rolling. Let's see here. On Friday, there was a private ceremony held in Los Angeles. The funeral of Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry was put in the ground on the 3rd. That would be Friday. Let's see here. TV stars attend funeral for NBC sitcom actor dead at 54. 6 days after he was found unresponsive in a hot tub, Matthew Perry's family and co-stars gathered to mourn and honor the actor during a during a private funeral and memorial service in Los Angeles on November the 3rd. Matthew's friends, co-stars Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc. By the way, and David Schwimmer. Matt LeBlanc. So how do I do this? I was thinking over the weekend because something about Matt LeBlanc came up, and I went, man, I don't think people give Matt LeBlanc enough credit. I know I don't. When I look at Friends, like Matt LeBlanc wasn't one. He was Joey. He was fine, but he wasn't like a standout. Matt LeBlanc did a show called, man, now I don't even know what it's called. Oh boy. It was a Showtime show. It was a situation comedy where he played himself, or an exaggerated version of himself, almost like Curb Your Enthusiasm, where he's trying to get a new sitcom off the ground. And he's so funny. He was so tremendously good in that show. I can't remember what that show's called, but just Google search Matt LeBlanc Showtime sitcom. It is so good. And if you ever have an opportunity to watch it, you will see Joey, you will see Matt LeBlanc in a completely different way. He's a good actor. He's got that range I was talking about. He's showing the nuance. Joey was a one-trick pony, but Matt LeBlanc playing a character version of Matt LeBlanc is not Joey. It's a completely different character, and it's very funny. It's very good. Episodes. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, I knew somebody would know. Okay. Lisa Kudrow. Oh, man. She's so awesome. She's my second favorite on that show. Lisa Kudrow, The Comeback on HBO. Also amazing. Far better work than she did on Friends. Way funnier than anything she did on Friends. And she was funny on Friends, but nobody saw these things. All right, so all the Friends people got together. David Schwimmer, I don't know. What has he done? I don't know. Has he done anything? I recently saw David Schwimmer in something where he played a mean guy. Where did David Schwimmer play? He played like a Marine drill sergeant in something that I was watching. It was weird. What was I watching where David Schwimmer played a Marine drill sergeant? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, man. April Michelle knows about Valerie Cherish. Valerie Cherish is the character that Lisa Kudrow played on The Comeback, which is an HBO sitcom that's really funny. She plays like a girl who was the it girl of like 1985 on network TV, and then her show got canceled and she never kind of did anything else. And now it's the year 2020s or whatever. And she's trying to do a reality series called The Comeback. Remember me? I was the it girl. That's Valerie Cherish, The Comeback. Great show. So anyway, I was thinking about all of the things that the Friends actors had done post Friends, and what my favorite thing that they had each done. And Joey, it was definitely episodes. Lisa Kudrow, it's without a doubt The Comeback. That's the best thing she's ever done. I got to Courtney Cox, and I was like, well, I like that show that she did. Courtney Cox did a show for FX about being a tabloid news reporter, and it was really good, but it only aired for like a season and a half, but I thought it was good. I don't remember what it was called. Tabloid Extra something. I don't know, whatever. It was good. Jennifer Aniston's done a whole bunch of movies. She's just whatever. She's obviously a star. She's probably the biggest of them all. But Matthew Perry, when I was thinking, what has Matthew Perry done post Friends that I'd seen him in? And I'd completely forgotten. And if there's any of you out there who are fans of the late 90s, early 2000s political show, The West Wing, which I think is I learned more about the way the government works from watching The West Wing. That show is brilliant. That show is fucking amazing. And John Goodman, can I just tell you, John Goodman's story arc in The West Wing as ultra right wing Speaker of the House, Mr. Power Broker, he was so good. But a forgotten story arc in The West Wing was Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry did it was on for almost an entire season as a political consultant, I believe he was. And he was really good on that. And that led to a relationship with Aaron Sorkin. And there was a show that Aaron Sorkin and Matthew Perry did together. Actually, it was Aaron Sorkin, Matthew Perry, and Bradley Whitford. And it was an NBC show. And it was after The West Wing had gone off. And NBC was like, come on, Aaron, do something else. So he created the show called Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. It only aired for a season or two. It got no ratings. People didn't like it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was fascinating. But I like anything that takes us inside Hollywood. And I love Aaron Sorkin and his writing style. So if you could take that writing style from The West Wing and just kind of put it backstage at Saturday Night Live, which is what this show was. This show, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, was about a Saturday Night Live type show in what it's like working on that show all week long. It was fascinating. It had an amazing cast. Bradley Whitford and Matthew Perry played the writer and creator, the two creators, and one was a writer and one was a director of the show. People, slammed it. Sorkin was ripe to be slammed. He was getting a little bit full of himself at the time. So whatever project he put out was obviously going to be, that guy's kind of a dick. Let's slam this. So it kind of got slammed. I've never been able to see it anywhere. I've never been able to say it, but Matthew Perry plays a character who's very troubled in Studio 60, but very much like the real Matthew Perry, who was obviously troubled. And I don't know where you can see it. I don't know where it's available, but I believe that is the best acting that Matthew Perry ever did. Now, the show itself, people are like, I didn't like that show. Whatever, that's fine. I'm only talking about appreciating Matthew Perry for more than Chandler. I don't know why he didn't do bigger and more things. I mean, he had a couple of movies, the whole 10 yards, whole 9 yards, though that was a great little franchise. I think he did 3 of those. But Matthew Perry was never going to win an Oscar. He was never going to break into that sort of category of actor. But if you have opportunity, he was really terrific in that Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, even if nobody watched it. And I thought it was interesting, but I like that stuff. Anyway, there you go. His funeral was on Friday. Let's see. Is anybody else who showed up? Earlier on the same day at his funeral, Matthew's loved ones announced that they'd launched a foundation in his name, the Matthew Perry Foundation. The star had long struggled with drugs and alcohol. Let's see here. All right, so here's a quote from Matthew Perry that they read at his funeral. It says, when I die, I know people will talk about friends. And I'm glad for that. Happy. I've done some solid work as an actor, as well as giving people multiple chances to make fun of my struggles on the World Wide Web. But when I die, as far as my so-called accomplishments go, it would be nice if friends were listed far beyond the things I did to try and help other people. Okay, so that's Matthew Perry as written in his book from 2022 about when he dies. There you go. Let me read it again. When I die, I know people will talk about friends, and I'm glad for that. Happy that I've done some solid work as an actor, as well as given people multiple chances to make fun of my struggles on the World Wide Web. But when I die, as far as my so-called accomplishments go, it would be nice if friends were listed far behind the things I did to try and help other people. All right, and that's his parents used those words to launch his foundation, the Matthew Perry Foundation, which will help people struggling with drug abuse. All right, guys, that's it. We're out of show. I know, a little bit shorter show than usual today. I do apologize. Andrew says The Odd Couple. Yeah, he did The Odd Couple. It was 2 seasons. I never watched that. That just seems sad to me. When Matthew Perry, they're rebooting The Odd Couple, I'm like, eh. And also, I didn't think that Matthew Perry was a good Oscar. Like, I would think to cast finicky, uptight, kind of Chandler type as Felix more than Oscar, but Matthew Perry was cast as the Oscar character in that, which I never really. Adam says was he in 30 Rock? I don't remember him in 30 Rock. Adam says, I've heard a few podcasts talking about Studio 60, and I agree with their take. It was good, but very disjointed. Yeah, I mean, look, I can't, like, I haven't seen it in 10, 15 years. I remember enjoying it, and I remember when it was canceled going, oh, that sucks. I remember Dr. Schwartz and I watched it, and I remember us having a debate. He said he found their depictions of sketches, like when they would do a sketch that was, like, this is gonna be a sketch. He found them painful and stupid and all that. And I remember thinking, but that's not what it's about. It's about the behind the scenes stuff. My takeaway was that I thought Matthew Perry was very good in that. I think Amanda Peet was also in it. Man, I would love to watch that show again now. I would love to be able to find that somewhere. Hey, Ed, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, if it's available anywhere. It might not be. Although I bet you now that Matthew Perry's dead, it'll be available. I bet you it'll show up somewhere. Hulu. It was an NBC show, but then again, that was just the network. I don't know who the production company was. I don't know. Whatever. I would like to see that, though. Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. I mean, if I remember correctly, it was only like 7 or 8 episodes. It's like how every year I re-binge Freaks and Geeks. We're coming up on that. That's a winter thing. Every winter, like around February, I just decided, I'm like, okay, this is where I'm going to watch all the episodes of Freaks and Geeks again. I'm getting to the point now where I can finish sentences of the characters. Andrew says, I can hook you up with the links. I appreciate that, Andrew. I'll if it's available out there, links. Troubling. That sounds troubling. I'll hook you up with that sounds like I'm going to need a new computer a week after I do that. Although probably not. There's a full season of 22 episodes. Okay. Yeah, it could be on Peacock, although, again, I don't know. Well, here, let's pull it up. Why not? Let's see. Because the network that originally broadcast it would only have the rights to it for a contracted amount of time. It's the production company. It's whoever produced it that will own it. So it would be like whatever Aaron Sorkin, whatever I would think he would own it. Because at that time, after The West Wing, there's no way anybody but Aaron Sorkin owns that show. He would have had the power to go, what? No, I own it. You guys can have it for 4 years, and then it comes back to me. So let's see what the production is on this. Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. Wikipedia. Oh, man, we'll check it out on Wikipedia. It starred Matthew Perry, Bradley Whitford, Timothy Busfield, Amanda Peet, Sarah Paulson, Nate Cordry. I remember Nate Cordry being very good. I remember Nate Cordry standing out. He's Rob Corddry's brother, Rob Corddry, who is one of my favorites. Rob Corddry was a correspondent on The Daily Show. I think Nate Cordry was as well, but Rob Corddry was really funny on The Daily Show. And then, of course, he would go on to be Lou in Hot Tub Time Machine. Rob Corddry, he's my favorite. But that's why I remember Nate Cordry, because I was like, man, he's funny. Who is that? I'm like, wow, that's his brother, and he's got hair. Imagine that. All right, what are we going back to? It debuted on September 18th, 2006. Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip is an American comedy drama television series created and primarily written by Aaron Sorkin. The series was about the production of a live comedy series similar to Saturday Night Live. Produced by Warner Brothers. Okay, so it's Warner Brothers. So what's Warner Brothers? Is that Amazon? Who owns Warner Brothers? Well, now we got to find out who owns Warner Brothers. Okay. Produced by Warner Brothers and ran on NBC. All right, Warner Brothers. Who owns Warner Brothers? What, is Warner Brothers its own thing? Is that Paramount? No, Paramount's Paramount. I have no idea who owns what anymore. Warner. Okay, so Warner Brothers is its own thing. Do they have a streaming network? What streaming network is Warner Brothers? God damn it. And we don't have a TV guide anymore. We don't know. We are just going blind through all of this stuff. Everything is available for us to watch if we can find that needle in the haystack. There has got to be something that will guide us to these things. No idea. Is he in Terriers? Andrew Walker? Wait, not Matthew. You're talking about Nate Cordry. April, it says Apple TV has Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, but is it an upcharge like everything on Apple? Apparently there's money being paid to Apple every month that gets nothing. It gets absolutely nothing. Anytime you look for I hate Apple TV. I hate it. I hate their pretension. Everything on Apple TV is so snobby. It's so, which I guess there's a place for it, but it's always stories about poor people and the bad times that they're having. I don't like it. I don't like Apple TV at all. I've had nothing but problems with it. I love Peacock. Except Peacock gives me like 20 seconds of commercials every couple of minutes, which I can't abide. I can't consider myself a thoroughly modern man in 2023 and be sitting there held hostage to commercials. HBO Max is the best. Max. Show it the respect. They changed. They branded Max. Max is my favorite. Max has everything. Max has got everything. Does Max have Warner Brothers? I think Max does have Warner. No, is that DC? Who owns DC? Okay, so Adam is finding out what I always find out on Apple TV is that everything's an upcharge. Same with Prime. Prime is getting that way. When I click on Prime, just show me all the shit I get for free on Prime. Everything doesn't have to be an upcharge. Like, I'll be scrolling, I'll be like, oh, this looks good, and I'll click on it, and they'll say, $3.99. I'll be like, what? Well, what are we doing here? Well, I thought this was, what do you mean $3.99? Because they're upselling you on everything. Netflix doesn't do that. That's what I like about Netflix and HBO Max. You click on it, you're watching it. That's it. If you can see it there, it's free. You're there. Come on, let's watch. I also don't like Hulu's layout. I hate Hulu's layout. Because I think I could really like Hulu. I think that there's stuff there on Hulu that I could like, except there's nothing but garbage. Like the first 4 rows on my Hulu layout is like Real Housewives, my 500-pound life. I'm like, get me the fuck out of this shit. I don't want that stuff. That stuff's garbage. I want Hulu original programming. I want new stuff. And I'm sure there's good stuff there because Hulu does good stuff, but I can never find it. So yeah, Netflix and Max. I like Netflix and Max. I also like this Plex thing that I use. That's awesome. That's never a problem. That's really quick and easy too. That's good. Anyway. All right, guys, we got to be done. We got stuff. I got to run around. That's it. That's it for the show. We will be doing a Radio Misfit show tonight, so come on by. Come on all. Come on, whatever. What am I saying? I'm stuck in a loop now. Hold on. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. All right. All right, gang. Sorry, I know a little bit shorter show than usual. Thank you so much to our executive producers, Terry, Byron, Frank, and Joel. They tipped the show. They helped us out. They got us across the finish line. You people are the best. If you want to support the show, again, we're not in a hard push week, but if you want to drop a little something, keep us ahead of the bell curve, that's good. We'll take it. I'll leave that up. Tonight, Radio Misfits. Myself and James Parker, the Rare Monday show. We weren't doing Monday shows because we had the comedy thing and then the World Series, but we're back. We're back. So we'll be on tonight, 9 o'clock. So come join us then. All right. I love you guys. We'll see you. And well, I feel like I'm missing something. Like there's something that I wanted to say. I don't know, man. All right. Oh. Well, yeah. Here, I got something else I can say. So, did you guys see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Speaking of, isn't this on Apple TV? No, this one's on Disney. Disney's another one I got a problem with. You guys watch the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony this weekend? It happened on Friday night. On Friday night, there at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum in Cleveland. Happened on Friday night. Class of 2023 went in, and then it was streamed live, so you could watch it live on Disney. I didn't end up watching it until later that night, so I watched or maybe it was Thursday night. I don't know, whatever it was, but I watched it on the stream. You can find it if you have Disney, which is another weird channel. It's like I don't know, platform. Disney's weird. Disney Plus is weird. It was good though. It was good. It was they're always good. I mean, when you get to a certain age, I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is for old people, right? Like that's like because we sort of remember like who went in. Okay, so Sheryl Crow went in first. They opened it up with Sheryl Crow. She was whatever. I mean, like if I was the king of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, okay, and you came to me and you said, "Sire, can Sheryl Crow come in?" I'd be like, "Nah," because just nah. But I'm not, and there are other people, and I'm not married to that decision. So whatever, she went in, that's fine. I just don't think of Sheryl Crow at that level. But okay, whatever. And then Sheryl Crow got brought in by Laura Dern, the actress, who I just don't like Laura Dern. I never have. She's just such a. Anyway, and Laura Dern gives this speech about Sheryl Crow, who broke in 1995, who, by the way, I was an instrumental part in breaking Sheryl Crow's Tuesday Night Music Club. Oh, you know what? You people, you don't know. I was. Tuesday Night Music Club was released to alternative stations. They didn't know. There was no mix format at the time. There was no genre that really played that. So Sheryl Crow was considered to be in the very early era of alternative rock radio. She was one of their new artists. And Tuesday Night Music Club had been released for a number of months, and one single was being pushed, Leaving Las Vegas. Q101 in Chicago was playing Leaving Las Vegas, Leaving Las Vegas. And it was like, it was a hit, but it wasn't Hey Jude. It wasn't like anything it was, what else was a hit at that same time? Meredith Brooks' Bitch, right? I'm a bitch, I'm a love, you know what I mean? So it could have very easily been just a disposable song. Then, I'm going to a party. Now, actually, what year is this? 93, maybe 90. I don't know, whatever it was. I'm old, so I forget it. I go to a party, a college party at Northern Illinois University, and they're playing this song, and they keep playing it like over and over again. And I'm like, what is this song? And why are all of these girls going nuts for this song? It was All I Want to Do. All I Want to Do was not getting radio play. All I Want to Do was deep on the Tuesday Night Music Club, and they were abandoning the push of the album because they had figured that Leaving Las Vegas had pretty much done its thing. Now, where do we play in this? Now, I don't say we got a gold record. I'll say that. The record company said, okay, yeah, this show, you're going to get a gold record for this because, yes, you are absolutely. I mean, I didn't get it, but, so I came back from this party at Northern Illinois University and the morning show, and we were syndicated throughout the Midwest, and we were a behemoth of a morning show, and we were incredibly influential for a period of time that we were there. And we started playing it. I started playing it. I said, play the song. I go, this song is great. My host, Kevin Matthews, was like a really cool music guy. Like he loved new music and he loved to play new music on his show. And he had the kind of power and success that he could play whatever the fuck he wanted. If he wanted to play like 5 minutes of some local band's music, he could do it because he was that popular. And we played Leaving Las Vegas, and he liked it, and he started playing it. And all of a sudden, our radio station is now playing Leaving Las Vegas when nobody else is. So then Q101 picks it up, and then all of a sudden, the other alternative stations in America, and it becomes a massive hit. So I am taking some credit. And yeah, the record company actually gave us a gold record for that. Because they were moving off it. They were like, yeah, this album has run its course. You know who else? Our little radio show, our little morning show there in the center of the country. This little don't. That's important to why these things happened back then, before digital distribution and all that. Location, being a megawatt powerhouse in the center of the country that could reach other major markets and would have influence in them, would then spread it even further. This is my favorite story. We talked to him the other day, Kevin Matthews. He had the story. He went down to Georgia. He's a buddy in a record company, a big record company executive friend of his down there. They got out of Georgia. They're partying. They're hanging out. And at some point during the weekend, they're listening to music. They're just hanging out in a hot tub, just chilling. And they're listening to music. And my boss, Kevin, was like, "What song is this? Because this song is really good. Can you play that one again?" And the dude plays it again. And the dude goes, "Yeah, this is from just like a local band down here. We were trying to get them signed. They're Christian rock. They're trying to transition. It's just not working up. So we're going to drop them. And they're actually broken up at this moment." That's what it was. They were broken up. He's like, "They're actually broken up." So my boss, Kevin, is like, "Man, that song is great. That song is great. I'm going to take that song. I'm going to play that song." We took that song back to Chicago, and he started playing it every single morning and talking about how this song is so cool. This is a band. They don't exist anymore, so don't try and find them. That song was Shine, and the band was Collective Soul. Collective Soul had been broken up until this guy that I had the pleasure of working for, who's now in the Hall of Famer, until this guy heard a record from a record company guy who just had a playlist in his backyard. And he was like, "This song is great. What song? Who is this? Who is this?" They're broken up. We're not moving. Collective Soul gets back together. They churn out a couple of albums, and the rest is history. What was the other one? There was one other situation where Kevin broke a song that became really big. None. The only one that I have my fingers in is All I Want to Do. So anyway, Laura Dern gets up at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and she's introducing Sheryl Crow, and she basically talks about Sheryl Crow like Sheryl Crow was the first rock star in the history of female rock stars. She's talking like she broke the glass ceiling, and I'm like, we just put Pat Benatar in here last year, and the exact same speech was made for her. And the year before, when Joan Jett went in, the same speech was. So I was a little bit bugged by that. Shaka Khan went in. That was a good one. The Shaka Khan introduction, the Shaka Khan jam. Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan. Let me wreck you. You don't know how many mega hits Shaka Khan had. Shaka Khan has a shit you only think of that. Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan. I mean, but you don't think of I'm everyone. I mean, Shaka Khan goes tell me something good. Wow, wow. Shaka Khan was badass. She got in. That was cool. Kool Herc, DJ Kool Herc. They put DJ Kool Herc in as the founder of hip hop. DJ Kool Herc, who is widely considered to be the guy who invented hip hop. Don't argue with me. I'm just, hey, LL Cool J said it when he introduced him and put him in. But no, if you know the history of, hip hop in New York, if you've ever seen a documentary on it, you know that DJ Kool Herc is given credit as being the guy who, whatever. That apartment party, the back to school party that his sister threw that he DJ'd at is considered the very first, and they talked all about that. But then DJ Kool Herc comes up, and DJ Kool Herc in that old, DJ Kool Herc is, I don't know, did you guys see this? Did you guys happen to see him up there on stage? I could not tell if DJ Kool Herc was just sailing on heroin or junk or whatever. I couldn't tell if he was just or if he was old and dementia had set. I didn't know, or if he was just the most shit-faced drunk I'd ever seen. He made a speech that went on and on. You couldn't understand a damn word that he said. He's in his best. He is not a great articulator of the Queen's English, right? He's got his own way of speaking from where he comes and all that. So now you add in all of this other stuff, and I don't know, but he's not 90 is my point. He's and that's some bitch. And people be like, woo! And I'm like, what is this guy saying? his sister at some point threw a shoulder and was like, thanks, Herc. We just want to say thank you to everybody. It was weird. That was weird. Bernie Taupin went in. Bernie Taupin, Elton John, Bernie Taupin. Bernie Taupin does all the lyrics, and Bernie Taupin. Bernie Taupin went in. He broke bad on our guy, Jan Wiener. Jan Wenner. Jan Wenner, I don't know what Jan Wenner did. What did Jan Wenner do? Oh, he wrote that book, right? Didn't he recently write a book? And it was The Greatest Things in Music. And it was all like middle-aged, not even middle-aged, old white men. And so now people are like, Jan Wenner thinks only. What about Aretha? What about Tina? Okay. All right. He wrote a book. These are what he thinks. So he thinks you disagree with that? Fine. Anyway, Bernie Taupin broke bad on Jan Wenner. The highlight of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for me this year, last year was Duran Duran. This year, the highlight of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for me was George Michael. That was, my neighbor, George Michael. Okay, so I'd have to knock down a house to be able to see his house. But George, my neighbor, lived for a period of time right around the corner. George Michael. I walked the dog by George Michael's old estate every night. George Michael went in. Andrew Ridgeley put him in. It was really cool. The thing that I love most about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is that before they introduce the new person and welcome her to the Hall of Fame, they show a documentary. They show like a short 5-minute or whatever sort of encapsulation of their career. And they're really cool. The George Michael one was really cool. There's a really great George Michael bio or doc on Netflix, a new one. That's also really good. But that was cool. Adam Levine from Maroon 5 came out and he did Faith. That's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If you get a chance to watch it, it's on Disney streaming. You can watch it there. It was good. It was really good. It's always good, though. It's a good show. I mean, whatever. I'm old, so, but, who else went in? Rage Against the Machine, right? Rage Against the Machine went in. I didn't see that one. Okay, so apparently I didn't watch the whole thing. I got to go back. I got like an hour left. I cherry-picked the ones that I wanted to watch. I watched Bernie Taupin. I watched George Michaels. I watched Shaka Khan. I watched Sheryl Crow. I watched DJ Kool Herc. There's a couple more. I'll get to them and I'll tell you what I think.
Guitar, that is all I need. I don't need no 401. I don't have the green. Down the road I'll travel.
Well, I'm not. See, this is the world of absolutes that I push back on. Al says, Sheryl Crow is great, though. Like I said, Sheryl Crow wasn't great. I didn't say Sheryl Crow wasn't great. I love Sheryl Crow. I've seen Sheryl Crow live. So just because I'd be like, yeah, she doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame, that doesn't mean I don't think she's amazing. I mean, there is a level of amazing that is just shy of the Hall of Fame. I don't have any issue with Sheryl Crow at all. I just told you the big story about how, All I Want to Do was a song that I saw at a college party. And I went, oh my God, why isn't this being played on the radio? Why are they shoving this, sad maudlin, leaving Las Vegas? I mean, that song it's fine, but it's not All I Want to Do. That song is, who listened to those songs on the album and went, All I Want to Do? Nah, that won't be a hit. Fire that person. That person should not be working in rock radio. It's terrible. I referenced Meredith Brooks's Bitch, and that's because when I was at Q101, which is the alternative rock station, I was spent a little time as the helping. I'm not going to say helping the music director, hanging out, going through some of the music. They'd give you stuff. They'd say, listen to this stuff because I can't listen to it all. Tell me what's good. What should I listen to? So I went and I found a song that had been pitched to the radio station, and we got all the songs first. New York, LA, and Chicago. Those are the three places where a genre you want to saturate the market first. So New York, LA, and Chicago all got sent the same song, and we were the first ones to play it. And it was because I listened to it And I remember a CD in my car, and I'm like, man, this song is awesome. From the minute I heard it, I'm like, this is a hit song. And again, think about what this is. This isn't about, this is my favorite song. No, this is about working in the industry and going, okay, what's a hit? What's a hit song? You don't have to love every hit, but you have to be looking for certain things that you hear and you instinctively go, people are going to love that. People are going to love that. That's different. When I heard Meredith Brooks's Bitch, I'm listening to it and I'm like, okay, first of all, the word is going to get people's attention. That's good. She's right there. But I remember just thinking this song is an absolute freaking hit. This is a can't miss hit. And I came in the next day and he's like, what, do you get anything good? And I go, yeah. I go, this is a can't miss hit. And then he listened to it and he's like, yeah, it is. And we started playing it. New York started playing it. It became a hit. She became nothing. Like, I don't know. What is Meredith Brooks? Did she ever have anything else? But she had that one hit. Yeah. I got the ear. Yeah, that's what I was told. The kid, you got the ear. A lot of good that did me. All right, guys, I love you. And we'll see you tonight at 9 o'clock, okay? Okay. I gotta do a bunch of running around. We were not interrupted during today's show. How cool is that? All right, bye, everybody. See ya.
I can smile a little now. Things are going good. I always had to be on guard. That is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.